Welcome to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast, brought to you by www.legaladviceinparadise.com. Even in one of the most beautiful places in the world, life can be litigious. On this podcast, the best and brightest legal minds gather to help you navigate your way through every legal question you may face. This program will help you know your rights, know what steps to take, and help you find the best legal representation, all in simple, easy to understand terms. And now, here's your host, Justine Gronwald.
Aloha, and thank you for tuning in to our next podcast episode. Want to make sure you never miss an episode, as well as get tips on how to hire an attorney and be eligible for monthly prizes? It's easy. Just join our free membership called the Agent of Change membership. Text your name and your email to area code 808-670-3400. Make sure you text back agree. And also, to check out our past episodes, just log into www.legaladviceinparadisepodcast.com. Now enjoy the next episode. Aloha. Aloha everyone, this is Justine with Legal Advice in Paradise again. Welcome back, and today it's my honor and privilege to have my special guest, John Campos. And the reason I'm having him on the show today is that in episode number 18, if you recall, I interviewed attorney Steve Gutman regarding bankruptcy. And John was nice enough to come and share his true story about the reason why he had to do bankruptcy. And in my interview with Steve, I talk about the emotions that go behind, bankruptcy, and actually it's a way to have a clean slate. But before we start, I'd like to remind you that if you haven't seen the other episodes, just go to www.legaladviceinparadisepodcast.com, and then you can look for episode number 18 with Steve Gutman on bankruptcy. So before we start, I'd like John to interview himself.
Who's interviewing here? This could go both ways.
To tell us a little bit about what you do, because it's very fascinating what he does, and then we'll go into his story.
Oh, thank you, Justine. I like to help people. I like to help empower people, and so my gifts have been just learning a lot about technology, entertainment, music throughout most of my life. Mm-hmm. More recently, getting familiar with the film industry, this is exciting.
Which I have a fascination with.
Yeah, I got to do a little bit of acting here and just introducing to it, and now I'm learning the directing role and the power of video today, which is probably the biggest thing.
And we talked about that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so it's very exciting to be here in Hawaii. Been here 4 years now. Come on, I know. Yeah. And I knew I was home 25 years ago when I came and visited my third wife, Jeannie, who's a very endeared friend. She thought I was crazy. And I am a little bit crazy, but I'm here. Hey. So I'm living it and loving it, and those I get to connect with, I learn a lot from, and it's all about giving for me for the
and
ultimate energy.
Actually, we met each other through Facebook and the Boys Bunch.
Yeah.
And for you that don't know, the Boys Bunch is headed by Brad Coates, which is one of my recurring guests. Brad Coates specializes in family law, and we recently did a couple of episodes regarding divorce and his book, Divorce with Decency. But that's how we're connected, and it's fabulous how we meet each other. And
we were Facebook friends, and we'd chit chat, and all of a sudden we start seeing some synergies. And it's really cool.
and I love that you're willing to fillet yourself, because this is not
fillet. I like that.
That's
good. Put me apart.
And this kind of stuff is not really easy to share, but the goal is to have people know that they're not alone. And first of all, to tell them what bankruptcy is all about, but also that if you find yourself in the situation where you just, if it's the last thing, the last option that you have. So we'll go into that story.
Sure. Well, my own experience with bankruptcy, being an entrepreneur, business owner, being a father, my first experience was back with Darla, my first wife, wonderful Italian girl I met in the Bay Area, and she's quite a light. And I have my daughter Rebecca with her. She's 26 now. I did that. Anyway, very proud of them both, and very gifted for that. But there was a time I was a field engineer working on IBM systems, made a lot of money, and we, just like everybody, you build it, you get a house, you get a car, 2 cars, 3 cars, okay.
That's right.
Motorcycle.
It's the American dream, right?
The American
to
dream.
get the stuff.
Yeah, to get the stuff, because we
because you
look
worked
at
hard for it.
Right, and we look at success as that measuring stick and that yardstick. It's what you got. What's other people think of you? I'm learning that's not really what it's about.
Yeah.
So at that time, we went through the mistakes of a young couple having too many people in our lives and not incubating our bond, which is what I really attribute to our biggest fault in that, if you will. And so there was a time when I was making all the money, and then when the marriage fell apart, I just didn't have the passion and purpose to continue. And I was making good bread with working on IBM systems, I loved it. I loved fixing things, and like most guys, we'll fix your problem, lady.
MacGyver.
Yeah. And so, Mrs. MacGyver, I've seen you. You're quite resourceful yourself, thank you. But in that whole thing, I lost the fizzle, and I had to find myself. And so, I trucked it in a '69 Dodge van. I was doing my music. I've been playing music for drums for a long time. So, I decided to start my first consultancy. Oh. And I grew my hair down to the middle of my back in a ponytail, and I still walked around with a shirt and tie into my office. But a lot of my clients that I met really enjoyed the fact that I was myself, dynamic, and did a lot of things. So the old stereotypes, if you've got to you got to look and act a part. No, just be yourself. You'll be the most successful in business when you do that. Anyway, back to the story. Try not to go squirrel too much.
Yeah. So what happened was you were building a life for yourself.
Yeah.
And
well, for me and my family.
Yeah, having the income and getting the stuff, and then what happened?
Well, then after that, it fell apart. It was a time to really look at what I wanted to do, and I needed to find myself. So I took a huge break back. It wasn't about money anymore. My happiest days were when my '69 Dodge van would break down on the side, and I had to tinker and fix it. And I was like, yeah, this is good. I like this. So I had to find myself. Well, I started looking at the financial picture, realizing the fortitude of my daughter. And then, although my wife had to go through her thing, we actually stayed friends through the process. It was difficult. She was pretty young when she married, and I was pretty young too. I was, 25, 26, so clearly too young for me at that age.
Yeah, what do you know, right, at that age?
But we know, and
No,
that
just
really, we do what we think,
Right.
but we know what we think. We do what we think we're supposed to do.
Exactly.
Instead of really knowing ourselves and what we really need. And that's probably the bigger message I've learned throughout the 5 speed bumps of life I've been through. And really, I mean, that's really what it is, knowing yourself, loving yourself, and getting all that. But anyway, back to bankruptcy. So I had to look at the whole financial picture of what I had. We owed a lot of debt, and we had the cars, and even for Darla, it wasn't really about the money and the cars. It was more about the internal happiness. So I suggested a BK, a bankruptcy. And at first she wasn't really into it, but then when I explained the process, she understood it, and it made a lot of sense. At that time, in the late 80s, it was a lot easier process than it is right now. And quite frankly, I think it's good that the government has made it more diligence is required, because people would pull the switch and do it when they really didn't need to.
Right. And we covered that with Steve Goodman. Today you have to go through what they call a means test.
A means test, right.
Right. So when you started to realize that you were going to declare bankruptcy, did you reach out to a legal expert to help you?
Yeah, I did. I actually, and I highly recommend that. The one thing that I did myself that I did not count on the attorney to do was to make sure that everything is included in your list. And I might even go as further to say, even on your credit report, if you show something that's already been a charge-off or anything like that, make sure you add it to the list.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there's a couple of loopholes that some of these creditors are going through. And there's like a 6-year window that they can keep their information out there, but by law they're supposed to remove it. A lot of people aren't aware that credit report is yours and you can manage it, and there are some services that can help you kind of weed it out and get it cleaned up. But a lot of these companies are illegally doing procedures that by law they're not supposed to do. And I could name off a few of them, but I won't. But big companies that I should be able, with an 800 credit rating, I should have been able to get a card through. They wouldn't do it because of my bankruptcy way back then.
Oh, yeah. Steve Goodman did say that once you do a bankruptcy, it stays on your credit report for 10 years.
For 10 years, that's true. And but to that other point, the thing about the charge-offs and the other things, just because you don't owe people money, make sure you still get a printout of all three of your TRW, your Experian, and what's the other one? There's another one.
Yeah, there's another one.
Yeah,
I forget the name.
Kind of escaping me right now. But make sure that you get...
It's your FICO scores.
FICO, yeah. But you list every single one of those. Even if it's a zero debt, you want that included in your legal documentation, because that's the only instrument that you're going to have to present to the credit card company if they say, no, we're not going to take that off your record. I don't have to. Well, yeah, you do.
So you went through that?
Well, I'm actually going through a second one right now, and a friend of mine, another filmmaker that I'm working with, is alluded me to that just this morning, because I mentioned to him that I need to do a flush, because I personally guaranteed a corporation and a couple other companies that I had in Northern California. And again, passion and purpose. My marriage and relationship for 15 years with Jeannie fell apart due to some sad circumstances. Still love her dearly and wish her the best, but again, I lost passion and purpose, because we build for us, some of us, we build our life around our princess. It's like, it's still the old castle mentality, and we need that. We need that important relationship between a man and a woman to fortify each other. Anyway, I'm faced with that now, and
well, the first one that you did, was that a Chapter 7?
Now, which one's the complete flush and which one's the rebuild?
7 is.
So I did a 7
And what I
time.
learned from Steve Goodman is 13 is they pretty much assess it, and then you take the amount and you pay it back within 3 to 5 years. So the one that you don't pay back is the Chapter 7. So, and then the one that you do pay back, but it's so many cents on the dollar is the 13.
Yeah, and I'm open to whichever one, legal advice, and I would again suggest legal advice. I mean, you could probably save yourself about 2/3 of the cost if you did it yourself, but at least have a paralegal or somebody who knows the process, because...
Yeah. Well, he said, it would be great if you have somebody to really take a look at it. You could do yourself.
Yeah, for the money though. I mean, I've got attorneys that'll do it between $1,500 and $5,000. It just depends on how complicated it is. And quite frankly, as an entrepreneur where I am now, do I really want to take that on as another piece of work I've got to figure out, or do I want to build business and work a deal out with an attorney? So
yeah. Oh, let's get back to the one that you did first.
Sure.
When you finally got an attorney, how long was the process? Do you remember?
It was 6 months.
Wow.
It wasn't
6
bad.
months.
Yeah, it wasn't bad.
Well, I don't know. I never did it, so for me, 6 months seems like a long time, but I guess...
Well, I'm going through the cobwebs of my mind here a little bit.
For something like that, I guess you need that amount of time.
I think there is a gestation period on that, and I don't know why, and I'm pretty sure I'm right. It was like 6 months. That number seems to ring right. But I had to get a list of my creditors, and then there was, just to get through the whole process was about that. And then the Fed awards it. I think it's sent to the federal. Yeah, the federal awards it, and then you're basically cleared.
So, and Steve brings out the fact that it kind of like you get to start fresh, and is that how you felt?
You do start fresh from a couple of points. Yeah, I did. I really did, and I'm very surprised with how quickly you can recover your credit. I mean, almost the day after you get done filing, you can start building credit again, because people know for 10 years that you can't do it, and if you have any assets at all, list those assets afterwards and have those, because you want to have those to fortify. It's a catch-22, because if you list all those assets and then you report them, the government's going to look at, oh, well, you have all this stuff and you owe all this stuff. Oh, you can sell this stuff and have nothing.
Right.
Well, I'm sorry, but major corporations take advantage of situations. I think people have got to pragmatically look at their own situation and figure out what they need to do to rebuild themselves. As an entrepreneur, my higher intent is to build jobs and opportunities for other people. And so I look at a justification of, if I need to tuck a few things in that really don't need to be out there in public. But they're pretty fair about what you need, like as a vehicle and places,
Oh, so they go over that too.
Yeah, they don't strip you of everything.
Steve Goodman pretty much talked about that. In fact, you go through everything.
Yeah.
Right.
And
it's pretty extensive.
Yeah, and that's why I would say that if you've not gone through the process or aren't diligent about Googling and looking at forums and things like that, definitely don't do it yourself. It's truly worth it. At least a consultation with an attorney to guide you through the process.
That's what he said. Yeah. At least
this is really good, by the way. I like
thank
this.
you. Yeah, this is a green energy drink, and I interviewed the CEO and founder Alan Joaquin, and his specialty is rooftop farming, and the kale is everything is organic.
Yeah, there's no sugar in here. It's sparkling green tea, and I like it. I'm into
and
coconut water.
And you train and stuff like that, so.
I do martial arts.
So what you put in your body is pretty important.
Oh, mind, body, spirit. They're all temples, and how you treat them is how they treat you. So yeah.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, so back to the
yeah.
subject.
So now so you did the personal one, you and your former marriage, and now you find yourself looking at it again.
I'm rebuilding my life again.
So is there something you would do differently this time, as far as if you end up filing?
Well, I am going to file because one of my corporations had debt, and I had employees going for 10 years. So this is where I go into the morality of my situation. I don't want to be like a lot of corporations that just take advantage of the law of being able to write off as a financial tool. I really have to look at my purpose in what I do this. So there's some morals tied to it. Mm-hmm. I have to be in good conscience that what I'm doing is going to be the right thing. So I've waited out. I employed employees for 10 years.
Wow.
Gave them all opportunities. Mm-hmm. I didn't pay myself for 2 years. My last 2 years while I was trying to turn my corporation around and turn my life around. I didn't realize that my healing process would take another 5 years. I didn't realize the impact of the loss of a marriage or a loss of a partnership is so critical and close to us. Us as men, we just go build something else. It's no big deal. Well, let me tell you, brothers, we're ignoring what we really need to learn out of those lessons about setting our own boundaries and choices with people. And this is something that I know we're going off topic, but this is something that we don't consider.
Yeah.
You know, and so now as I consider this, and I want to be able to look either the court in the face and just say, Your Honor, this is why I'm doing this, because I really felt like I was doing the right thing, and
at the time. And
unfortunately, through circumstances, I had to flush the toilet on my corporations. I just said, I'm done. I've had enough. And now that I've found passion and purpose in my life and found myself, my true self, I'm ready to start rebuilding again. And it's been a journey.
Yeah.
But now I've got to look at the tools. I've got Bob Frost, an amazing guy at Kailua Music School. He's got a wonderful little school over there, and he's given me a lot of kakua to help me rebuild my life and sort out a lot of tax situations. I didn't even know that my own EA, enrolled agent, had goofed up in some stuff and to my favor, which was amazing. So he's helped me flush that. Now I'm looking at the element of going through a BK now to do the right thing, and then I can start rebuilding my financial life again.
So you're the only one I know that has referred to bankruptcy as BK.
Yeah, it's popular in California.
I started thinking about Burger King.
Burger King! Oh my gosh, we do chicken, right?
Anyway, sorry.
What are you doing to the chicken? Sorry.
We're grassroots. That's a disclaimer here. We goof up. But, I'm hoping that this is helpful to other people, because to let them know that sometimes you just got to go and do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's best if you have legal guidance too, because you could miss something, or you could give up something you don't need to, or all those other aspects.
And take your time. Take your time, do the diligence, get the information, look at every labyrinth of finance that you have. Make sure you don't have any hidden bank accounts, or not hidden, but I mean things that you might have forgotten about. Give yourself some time to think through it. Right. I would write a list and keep that list going every time I forgot about that. Because you really want to include everything. You don't want to go through a bankruptcy, a BK, without including everything, because you only get to do it once every 10 years. Right?
Oh, it's every 7.
Is it 7 now? But they can keep the stuff on.
Yeah, it's on your
10.
credit report for 10, and according to Steve, you can do one every 7 years.
Wow, so that takes care of my 7-year itch. I can get my new Ducati.
Oh, we talk about 7-year itch with Brad Coates as far as marriages.
I have.
So you're intertwining all our different interviews here. But anyway, for those of you who have been watching us for a while, you know all those stories, so you can see how it's intertwined. And then of course Brad Coates and everything. So
I was really impressed with Brad's comments on his last interviews, and he had one that I like. It was PG. It was cute, but he did this one on. I think it was pornography in marriage. And
I did a little preview of his episode. It's actually because he's going to talk about his book, and so I thought it was really important. And we're going off a little bit here, but
we go squirrel.
it's just that we're all friends,
Yeah.
and I just thought it was really important for people in marriages to know, and Brad does too, to see what's attacking our marriages today.
Yeah.
And pornography is addicting, and it can ruin a marriage.
Well, if I might, it's a distraction. Because here's the thing. I mean, depending on where everybody's level is spiritually and all that, I mean, we're here for a reason. Figure life out, whatever it is, you know. I don't think it's the mechanics of making money and the most you have, and then he who has the most at the end dies. And it's just not, it's deeper than that.
I did a little bit of research after I interviewed, I did that little snippet, and actually, you know, the whole aspect of people being intimate is just that, being intimate, and you can't really do that watching other people and their body parts. It's not, you take away the intimacy, because what intimacy is all about is people discovering each other. That's a distraction. You know?
It is a distraction, but you know, I can only, and I keep an open mind to other people's points of view, and I take it all in. I take nothing in, you know, and I can only imagine a couple that's been together for 20 years, they want to add a little spice to it. I don't think any addiction is good. And getting back to Brad's point, we're distracting from the beauty that was discovered between a couple. And when you know, when you find that light within each other, you know, some guys need to do it because it's an outlet for them. It's a coffee, it's a drink, it's a joint, it's whatever it is to distract from their stress. They're not dealing with the real issues.
Yeah,
we're going deep.
This is all around bankruptcy.
Yeah, so we're bankrupting our mind here. No, but anyway, I just wanted to applaud Brad for how he laid that out. And if you haven't seen that one, I would highly recommend it. I think it was very eloquently put.
I did a little preview, so if you go into the www.legaladviceinparadisepodcast.com, you'll find Brad's little preview, but I'm going to have the full episodes out soon, so that you can hear the 7 mega trends that is happening in marriages today that is ruining it. And as a divorce attorney, he's seen it all, so we cover that. And
I think this is a good point.
You know, how did we get into this with the bankruptcy? But that's okay. That's okay.
But really, I think if we all look like I have to look inside myself, what got me into my financial situation to start with, that's resulted in what I've got to do now in a bankruptcy. And so this is about me learning to make better choices. And that's why I took my time on this BK, which I would recommend. Take your time, make sure it's the right thing. If there's a way that you can put a plan together to get out of it.
And Steve Goodman says that, you know, if he sees something and you can do some kind of restructuring within, it has to be the last resort, the bankruptcy. If you can avoid it at all costs, then by all means, you know, even if it's a harder road to take, then go ahead and do that.
Yeah, because there is ways to clean up your credit report. Very good services that are out there that will do that. So if that's the big thing of rebuilding credit, there's deposit credit cards that you can use to rebuild yourself. And I mean, that's my first strategy. I'm pretty sure, I'm about 90% sure that a PBK is personal bankruptcy is, because you have corporate bankruptcy, which is a whole different process, about 10 times the cost.
Yeah, we didn't cover that so much because many of our viewers are individuals.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah, and I had to look at myself as an individual or what I want to build and get my personal credit. So, you know, I get to buy a house next, which I'm excited about. You know, I've got a VA loan I've never used, so I'm like, wow. So
I've owned 4 homes altogether.
Yeah, all together, all at one time, or
no? You know, one after another. Okay, we're just being
I
funny
think,
here.
I think we're similar. I've been through about maybe 4 or 5 ownerships in the Bay Area, but nothing in Hawaii yet. I really love. I keep living in different places, so I can. Where do I want to live? Ooh,
I've owned 3 here and 1 in Arkansas, if you can believe it.
Arkansas.
Yeah, I was thinking of moving there at one time.
Arkansas's got a pleasant
I kind of like
vibe
it there.
To it.
My daughter likes it.
I love being out here in the Pacific. I got to tell you, there's just something really amazing about this area. Very connected. People are there's just a different way out here.
Yeah.
You know, and what I love is the law of aloha. If you're not familiar with it, it's a real law in our books.
Well, it's legal advice in paradise, law of aloha.
Yeah, not a lot of people know about it. I'm using it with a case I have with somebody right now. And I had to talk about how they were being with me as entrepreneur, as business owners. I say, hey, there's no aloha here. There's always a way to make lemonade out of lemons in every situation. But if we're going to hold fast to our rules, and this is a list of rules, and this is a list of things, we're going to continue to bash each other. And this touches on the whole legal aspect. There's always a way to smooth out the waters if people are willing.
And that's one of the reasons that I brought this show too, because people need to know that, there shouldn't be any room for frivolous cases as well.
Agreed.
Because it takes up everybody's time, emotions, and the court system is already,
Agreed.
so...
There's so many important cases that really deserve the judges and our juries, our times, more attention. But and I hope frivolity can be addressed at some point. So the personal bankruptcy really touches a lot of things, because for a lot of us that, we were brought up with personal pride and we want to do the right thing. We want to, but sometimes we've got to face that as a real option. And it's there for a good reason. So.
And hopefully, and we brought this up in our interview with Steve as well, is that, you take away from this, as a lesson in life. So.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I have to applaud you on your show.
Thank you.
You bring such a wonderful light.
Oh, thank you.
And really, you have I just really appreciate how you are with people, and you bring out the good part of people. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much. And people have been telling me that, and that's great. I love the feedback, because it tells me that people really have a need for this, and I realize that people can go on Google and look for help and all this stuff, but this is more of a personal type of approach to it.
Yeah.
I like to bring the real life stories out there. So any of you that have real life stories, I would like to have you on. And as you know,
real life stories.
Yeah, as you know, I bring them on Wednesdays.
Okay.
So you're like the Witness Wednesday story of the week.
Witness Wednesday is cool. Thank you.
I call it Witness Wednesday. So, but I thank you so much for sharing.
Thank you, Justine.
Because not everybody wants to come on the show and talk about this type of thing, but it's real, and that's why it exists.
Anybody who knows me knows I'm an open book, and I just, maybe to a fault, but I just feel that if more people were like that,
open book, fillet. That's why I said fillet yourself.
And I like what you're doing, because you're breaking a barrier of attorney expensive and doing it by yourself.
Exactly.
And this kind of creates a ladder of trust, And
you're so right, because who brought out that word trust? Is my interview with Duke Iona and Elwin Ahu. It's all about trust. Oh, even Charles Tiju. It's all about trust. And when you break that trust, then that's when everything goes awry.
Isn't that true in every relationship? Having authentic trust. Yeah. It's really important.
We're getting deep here today.
We are. Thank you so much.
This is a different interview, so if you guys are vibing on this, that's great. If not...
I want an aloha hug here. That's it. We're going to do an aloha hug. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, you guys. So usually at the ending, we do a shaka out. On the video, and on the audio, we do aloha and a hui hou. Until next time.
Aloha and a hui hou.
Thank you for listening to the Legal Advice in Paradise podcast. For more information, visit www.legaladviceinparadise.com.